So you want to know the secret to driving tons of traffic to your website? Well, in this video, I'll reveal a case study where we increased traffic by a staggering 169% through powerful SEO techniques. But that's not all. We'll also show you how to replicate these results for your own website. Keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do with the reverse silo is that we want to target keywords that are at the bottom of the funnel and then work our way up. And the reason we want to do this is because we want to build our entire content strategy around these critical keywords that are towards the bottom of the funnel. So the best way to show you is through a real life example. So first, I'm going to show you how this goes in reverse order. So number one, this is for a framing hammer. Okay, so this is a type of framing hammer and we're looking at the review modification of this. So this really has investigative intent. You could even argue that it has transactional intent. So it's really at the end of the sales cycle. So if someone searches this, the likelihood that they're actually going to turn into a conversion, they're actually going to buy this product is very high. Okay, so we want to start here and then everything we do from this point forward is designed to support this bottom of the funnel keyword. So the next one, which would go further up the funnel, which is best framing hammer, okay? So at this point, someone isn't brand aware, as you can tell. There's a very different between this and the previous one, is someone is just looking for a list to try to find like, what are the best framing hammers? They don't know what the brands are. They're in this investigative phase. This is very important that we want to rank at each of these phases. And then the next one is carpentry tools, okay? So at this point, they may not even know what tools a carpenter would even use. Now, they might have some ideas, but what they're looking for is try to figure out like, okay, what are the tools that I need to be able to perform this particular thing? And then the last and final piece is what is carpentry? What we've done here is we've started at the bottom of the funnel, but every single one of these keywords at each stage of the funnel supports this one. Now, if we look at this in a logical order, most searchers will probably go from the top of this funnel and then work their way down, right? But still, when we're thinking about our strategy, all of this top of the funnel content, which will be more informational in nature, should be designed to support each of these additional layers. It goes in a very logical order. Now, searchers are all at different stages. Maybe some start here, some start here. It doesn't make a difference. But the point is this helps us build topical authority in the right way. So you need to target at each stage of the funnel. And if you do this the right way, you're going to really become the topical authority. And you really shouldn't move on to another topic until you've completely nailed each of these parts. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to subscribe to this channel because there's a direct correlation between better Google rankings and being a subscriber. So Kaizen is a Japanese term that it means improvement. And it's a philosophy that focuses on making small, incremental changes to improve processes and outcomes. And so this is something that I use all the time in our SEO campaigns. And what it means is basically we're going to constantly be tweaking and refining these pages until they finally get to the point where they're ranking number one. And so let me show you a real life example. Okay, so just to show you the differences in search volume for these keywords, you can tell that there's clearly a difference. As you go further down the funnel, you're going to see less volume, and that's totally normal. And in fact, that's exactly how it should be, because at the end of the day, you could rank for what is carpentry, but it doesn't mean that's going to drive a lot of conversions. It gets 1,200 searches a month, but the likelihood that those are actually going to turn into paying customers is not very high, right? But on the other hand, this one that gets, let's say 10 searches a month, if you combine all the other long tail traffic, maybe 100 searches a month, this is going to have incredible conversion rates. That's why you want to be able to tackle all this, because really it's just what we're trying to do is we're trying to build awareness, we're trying to drive them further down the funnel, and then we're trying to convert them. If we think about this in the search journey, we want to be tackling each part of the searcher journey. And then what you can see too is when you look at these keywords and look at the intent on the actual results, you'll see they're very different. So like, for example, we're going to see a bunch of pages that review this hammer. Very, very different than what we're going to see here, which will likely be a bunch of list posts for best framing hammer. And then if we look over here, carpentry tools, once again, we're probably going to see a lot of list-based posts. But then this one here, what is carpentry? We're going to see a totally different set of results that are very informational in nature. So you have to morph and change your content depending on the intent of the keyword. This is very important. You need to understand the intent. That needs to be your basis for how you structure that page. Okay, so here is the little example that I want to show you to emphasize this Kaizen method. So What this means is basically we're just going to continually try to improve pages until they get to that #1 spot. So what you're looking at here is a little micro site that I created for Gotcha SEO Academy. It's actually, I have a program inside Gotcha SEO Academy called the SEO Agency Accelerator. But basically what I do in there is I actually show people, I create a site from scratch just to show them how they should create these kind of micro lead generation sites to get more SEO clients. What I did here is I found this domain that's specific to stlouisseoconsultant.com. We built up this site, and I'll show you what it means to constantly improve it. But you'll see nothing spectacular. But the one little cool thing about this is what I call a one pager. So this is a one pager. There's no other pages on the site, just has one dedicated landing page. Now, if we look at the results, you'll see I published this around February, and it went through the classic bouncing around, and then eventually within 6 months or so, eventually hit the #10 spot. Now, throughout this process, I'm making modifications to this page to continually improve it and tweak it. I usually do that when I see plateaus. Here, I saw some plateauing, so I made some additional adjustments. And then here, once it hit #5, I let it kind of just work it out and see where it goes. And then it basically plateaued here. So I knew I needed to make some even additional changes. If we go and look at the original page, you'll see very similar in many ways. But what I did recently is I actually went a little more aggressive with the on-page SEO. So you'll see here I have it obviously in the H1 tag, but I don't have it in the first sentence and I don't have it in the H2. So I was trying to see how far can I rank without having to be super aggressive. The answer kind of told me that. Google told me that basically I can get to #4, #5. And of course, this is assuming that I just stopped doing link building. But for the most part, I was kind of plateaued here. So what I did is I went and I just simply injected the keyword into the first sentence, and then I injected a variation into the H2. And that's pretty much all it took, because very shortly after that, we saw the performance gains here. We're going on about a month. It's a solid #1. And this is a website that has just one page. Now, keep in mind, this website does have links. I've actually done link building to this site, but just to show you that you can do this on the local level, you can achieve these results with just hyper focused strategy and continually refining and improving the pages. If you're not ranking #1, then the only reason could be a couple of things. #1, the page itself needs to be tweaked. That's where you should start. Start with the page itself, start with the content itself, start with the on-page SEO. #2, you may not have enough links, right? So you need to fill in those link gaps. You need to drive links to this page to actually get it to where it needs to go. If you've narrowed those link gaps, then all that's left is maybe you need to build even more topical authority. In this case, I didn't need to build any topical authority because it wasn't super competitive. So all I needed was really one page that was optimized very well and some really strong link building. So you can do the same thing, but use this Kaizen technique to constantly improve and tweak. Too many people see first page rankings and they think their job is over. The job is not over until we hit #1. Once we hit #1, then you can maybe sit back and relax for a second, but still even then, you're still finding a continuous battle to stay at that #1 spot. Okay, and the last technique here is what I coined the merger technique back in 2015. And basically what this means is we're gonna find relevant websites with strong link profiles, and we're going to 301 redirect them to our website in the form of an acquisition. And what that does is it's gonna send all of those powerful links to your website, and it's gonna accelerate your site's authority at a rapid speed. So that's exactly what I did with the website in this case study where we grew it by 170%. It's because we leverage this technique. It's one of the most powerful techniques, and I cannot stress it enough. If you're trying to grow your site authority, this is the fastest way to do it. I'm going to show you some real life examples of sites outside of the ones that I work on to prove that this worked. #1, let's look at Backlinko. Okay, these are all from the SEO industry. So Backlinko has tons of links regardless. Like, he creates great content, he's created great link bait, so he's acquired tons of awesome links. But one thing he did that was very genius was he went and he acquired the domain Point Blank SEO. So if we go down here, we'll look for the link building strategies post. So let's try to find where that is. Search for link building. Okay, so we have link building for SEO. That's not the one. This is the one here, link building strategies. Okay, so you go over here and you can view it, and you'll see, if we look at the link profile going to this page, you're gonna see something that's very interesting, which is Point Blank SEO, which is 301 redirecting to this page. So if we go and look at the Point Blank SEO link profile, and I'm looking at the whole domain, you can see, look at how powerful these links are that are going to his site. So extremely powerful links, DR90s, DR80s, tons of organic traffic. So these are hyper relevant. They're not only hyper relevant, but they're also very powerful. What he's done here is he's taken all of these powerful links and now they're being distributed to backlinko.com. And we can see the results of Backlinko. The proof is in the pudding, right? We look at the authority of his site. It grew at an exponential rate because he gained basically 1,200 referring domains overnight on top of what he's already doing. I don't want to discount what he's already doing. He's done so much outside of this, but just to add an extra 1,200 referring domains is absolutely huge. I mean, if you do the math on that, let's say each of those domains are worth, on the low end, we're looking at $90. So that'd be over $100,000 of new referring domains that you'd have to pay for if you were to do outreach on yourself. Just the math on it is pretty insane. And then we look at the results. Like a stronger website leads to more organic traffic if you do things the right way. So building your site authority at rapid speed is a good thing. It will give you much better results. But just to reemphasize this point even further, we'll look at Neil Patel as well. You'll see that his second most linked page is Ubersuggest. And it's not by accident because he acquired Ubersuggest and he got ubersuggest.org and ubersuggest.com. So I'll just look at the .org. You can see, all of these links that are going here. And then we'll look at ubersuggest.org and you can see, if we look at the power of the links that are hitting this page now, we have Inc., we have Moz, we have BigCommerce, we have Verizon.com, we have SEMrush, all kinds of hyper relevant links and domains linking to this page. So it produces outrageous authority gains. Just another example. And then just one more example just to prove this even further. WebFX, one of the biggest agencies in the US, they've done this pretty religiously. They go and acquire little tools and then they go and 301 redirect those tools to their specific page. This is another way to do the merger technique. You can find existing websites and do this. You can find expired domains and do this. Either way works. I would, if you have the capital to buy an existing site and 301 redirect it, that's much better, but expired domains work just as well. If we look at this, you'll see that this 301 redirect from this emojicheatsheet.com. We'll go and look at the domain. And once again, super strong links. We got Slack. We've got a bunch of other sites. Not as powerful as the other redirects that we saw, but still some solid redirects coming in with sites that have a lot of traffic and pretty good authority. The way that you go about doing this is there's a few ways. First, you can just go through your industry and try to find websites that maybe aren't doing as well, like their traffic isn't where it should be, but they have a really strong link profile, and then you could pitch them for an acquisition. You can find tools in your industry and try to acquire those tools and then just build those tools out on your site and then 301 redirect. There's plenty of ways to go about doing this, and you can also just use Spamzilla. So I have a tutorial on Spamzilla on my channel already. I'll have a link below this video, but Spamzilla is the best way to find expired domains because you can see here, just from their homepage, you'll see that you can sort all of these domains by all kinds of metrics. So you can integrate Majestic, SEO, you can integrate Ahrefs, and you can even go and look at the history of these domains. So you need to do a lot of vetting to do this the right way. But the most important thing is that you're finding relevant expired domains with high quality link profiles. That is the key. So if you can maintain that principle and be very selective, you can see big results from this method. And just to give you one more little example, this page here on Gotcha SEO, Boots to Business, might be seeming a little odd, right? Like, why would I be talking about Boots to Business on this site? Well, there is a reason for it because I acquired a domain myself for Gotcha SEO. You'll go and look at here. This is the domain, bootstobusiness.org. It expired many years ago. So I acquired it, and you can see the links that I acquired because of that. So, Constant Contact, we got a .gov, .edu, .gov, another .gov, and more .edu. So we have all kinds of powerful sites, highly trusted sites that are now linking to Gotcha SEO. That's all that this method is doing. It's inheriting all of these powerful sites and hyper trustworthy sites that you really may have a very difficult time ever getting on your own, right? Like it's very difficult to get links on .govs or .edus. And if you do, it could be very, very expensive. So this is a way to bypass that by doing acquisitions. But once again, treat it like you're Warren Buffett. Pretend you're Warren Buffett and you're doing an acquisition, you're acquiring another business, and that business needs to be hyper relevant to what you guys do. Okay, if you think about it from that perspective, you'll approach it a lot differently. Instead of just saying, I'm just going to try to find some domain that has good links, I'm going to 301 redirect it. that still works. Like you can do that just from having pure link strength. It can do things, but it's better to have the relevance number one and then the link strength as well to hit that site. So can't recommend it enough, but these are the methods that I use. Once again, the reverse silo technique, targeting those keywords that are at the bottom of the funnel and then working our way up. Then we're also going to use the Kaizen method where we constantly improve and tweak these pages until they get to the point that they're actually ranking. And then we acquire backlinks and try to grow our authority as fast as possible. And one technique you can use is the merger technique.